So I don't know how I define failure anymore.
Yeah.
And also, failure is a far better coach than success has ever been. Be like, just, everything's gone great. Like, I didn't figure out shit.
Everyone you meet every single day is fighting a battle you may know nothing about. We're all in the process of overcoming. I'm Justin Wren, and my story has been heard by millions of people through my book, my TED Talk, podcast interviews, TV shows, professional fighting, and my foundation, Fight for the Forgotten. I believe we are all overcomers if we choose to overcome. We all have the option. I've been given the opportunity to overcome childhood trauma, sexual abuse, immense bullying, depression, suicidal ideation, substance use disorder, and I am a 2-time suicide survivor. We are here to have conversations with some of the greatest minds of our time. Get ready to be inspired and to receive the tools and game plan to win this fight called life. Thank you for being here, for showing up for yourself. You, me, we have overcome 100% of our darkest days. I'm not done yet, and neither are you. This is your invitation to overcome. Welcome back to Overcome with Justin Wren. This episode is going to light you on fire. This is Matt Vincent, 2-time Highland Games world champion. If you've seen Braveheart, Mel Gibson as William Wallace, yes, those games where they're throwing the stones, throwing the big log. I forget the name of what that's called, but it's pretty epic. And this is an epic human. You're going to get fired up, I promise. He's also the CEO of Hate Brand Goods. There's a reason for the name. I hate Matt Vincent online. It's IHVIII. And he also is the founder or the talker, the podcast host of So Podcast, as well as Habit Coffee. He's the CEO of that. And he's also an On It Pro athlete, who I'm so grateful is a sponsor of this show. So get ready. I'm about to go on a cross-country trip with him, at least from South Carolina to the Florida Keys on Indian motorcycles. And we're going to be documenting that. And we'll have a follow-up show. But you are about to be in for a treat. I promise that. Get ready. Buckle up, Buttercup, because this episode of Overcome with Justin Wren is the one and only Matt Vincent. You ready to do this?
Yeah, man. Stoked.
You're stoked?
Yeah, always.
Dude, I'm stoked.
I love getting to do this for a living.
Look at you.
What an incredible thing. I've had plenty of jobs I dislike. This isn't one of them.
What was one of the jobs you disliked most?
My least favorite job. So I'll set the stage for it. I'm 24 or 25 at this point. Previous to that, I've opened a bicycle shop after college. So I've dove into entrepreneurship, got a loan, opened a bicycle shop with 2 partners, and it went poorly. Mostly because our first year of business, we did $200,000 and have 3 owners to support and a margin that's about 30%.
Okay.
Not a ton left.
That's
Year
hard.
2, we did a little over 115. Not going the right direction.
Right.
So I've gone back to now bouncing and DJing at strip club because I can make more money there to pay an employee at the bike shop. So I have a second job now to support my first one.
Wow.
Is the way it's working. Chasing the dream, dude.
Chasing the dream.
And then when the bike shop finally tanked, I went to do a job at AT&T. And it wasn't even with AT&T. It was a third-party company that I'm selling home telephone service bundles. Like, oh, we can add voice calls or a 3-way calling to your plan and save you some money, even if you don't use it. But I'm in a suit in AT&T stores. I don't have a desk. Like, I'm just wandering around asking people for home telephone information. I have to get their social security number and call a place. To go from owning a bike shop and like being that age and really proud of like, I'm an entrepreneur, so much ego. And then to go hang out at AT&T stores in the same town and bug people about home telephone service. That was a rough year.
Yeah.
Rough year to pay the bills.
Well, I should properly introduce you, I think.
Okay.
Matt Vincent, 2-time Scottish Highlanders world champion. Scottish Highlander Games.
Scottish Highland Games.
Scottish Highland Games.
Yep.
So I should know how to pronounce it, right?
It's all the same.
Yeah. The Scottish Highland Games, the 2-time world champion.
Yeah, one in 2012 and 2014.
Wow.
And My other years of being a professional were 2011 through 16, and I took seconds at everything else.
Look at that.
It was a fun career.
That's awesome, man. To be the best in the world at something, that takes a lot of dedication. You have to overcome, which is the name of the show, Overcome with Justin Wren. You have to overcome all the odds just to stay injury-free and to stay competitive.
For as long as you can.
For as long as you can. And I think that's an incredible testament to your character, to the man that you are. You're also an entrepreneur, like we had started talking about.
Yeah.
You have a clothing line, an apparel line company, Hate Brand Goods.
Hate Brand Goods.
I just got my first care package.
Yeah.
And I got to open it with Amy.
And Amy's wearing our beanie.
I'm repping.
Hey,
I took this for
I
myself.
appreciate it so
I did.
much.
I
You're
took
wearing the
I love it. It's my
beanie.
new favorite. It's
Honored
my new favorite.
as I could be.
Thank you for sending all that. It's
Yeah.
great stuff.
Thank you.
Like, I really loved everything. So
Really
What
appreciate
did
it.
you think of did you just notice?
So
Put your
cool.
gloves on.
This is my first
I
time
don't know
to
if
wear.
I'm going to be
I got
strangled at the end of this.
for those listening, I have motorcycle gloves on with my motorcycle jacket. We just left Revival Cycles here in
Yeah.
Austin, Texas, where Matt left his gloves somewhere in the city.
That's
we
fine.
just
I'll
bought.
acquire more.
Well, we're going to get to that, but we're about to go on a motorcycle ride together. We're still in your intro, though. I don't know. I didn't want to just have my hands in my pocket the whole time with my gloves on. I snuck them on. Amy's
Those
got
aren't
the
the only
beanies.
two options.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I could take them off, and I am taking them off now. But man, so Hate Brand Goods
Yeah.
is a company you started 8 years ago.
Yeah, 2014, October was our first release, was in October, and we've been going ever since.
Yeah, and you have Habit Coffee.
Habit Coffee Company.
Are there other companies, things that you're doing? I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot because you are dropping about 3 new releases of
Apparel,
shirts, gear,
yeah.
apparel
Yeah, I'm on.
a month.
I like it. I like making new things.
Yeah, being
And
creative.
That's it. Like as long as I can, I've kind of got to the point now of like, what is your dream? I like making stuff, and whether that's apparel or I like the challenge of trying to figure out like what my favorite cup of coffee would be, and so I made it. I had the opportunity to get in with a roaster and figure it out, made it, and then we branded it and did it, and it's been great.
Where does
fun.
the coffee, where the beans come from?
So we've got 2 roasts right now. We've got a Guatemalan and an Ethiopian.
Wow.
And so the Guatemalan, I wanted something kind of like a medium dark, just full body coffee that like tastes like coffee. I drink it every day. Perfect. And that's our original. And then the other, the Ethiopian, called Snake Oil, is more of a lighter roast. And so it's more floral, stuff like that, a little bit more caffeine, you know, for all that ails you, if you will.
That's awesome.
So yeah, coffee companies running, and that's been fun being able to set up subscription service and get coffee people. And now we're switching some stuff around, and I should be able to start doing more seasonal roast and stuff like that too. So I'm excited about what's coming. So now I get more designing to get it worked into branding and everything, which I love.
Yeah. And where can people find you on Instagram? Amy's got that pulled up now.
I hate Matt Vincent.
I hate Matt Vincent.
Yeah.
And hate is HWII.
HVII.
Oh, HV.
Yeah. So it's H with a Roman numeral H.
HVII. My alpha brain hasn't kicked in yet. I just took it.
Well, it's your Eastern European. It's V's and W's get mixed up.
Yeah. Exactly. So let's get into the name real quick. Hate.
Yeah.
Because I know that, well, one, the opposite of that is love. And our fight for the forgotten mission or vision statement is defeat hate.
We're
with
basically
love.
nemesis.
No, defeat hate with love.
Sure.
But I know that hate's been a fuel for me to even get into fighting. I hate in one way. And I have used love to fuel me. But before that, it was anger when I got into the fight. And I was able to funnel that and use that for a lot of good in my career. I was able to use fighting as an outlet whenever I was growing up getting very heavily bullied. And I know you have an interesting take on why this name was there, how it fuels you, and I want you to share that with our listeners.
You know, so the concept had originally started of me and my brother talking about athletes that we admire. And one that always came to mind for us was like a Jerry Rice, like this guy who's arguably best of the best. And you still hear these stories of 20 years into his career.
I think he's from Greenville, Mississippi, where I was born.
He?
Yeah, I was
Are
born
you really from Greenville, Mississippi?
Born in Greenville, Mississippi. And I
I'm a
believe
Southern
Jerry
boy.
Rice is from there.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, Southern boy.
And hearing those stories about him still up at 4 a.m., still going to run routes, like still trying to perfect his craft. Like that dude gets up in the mirror, he hates himself more than I do. And like that was the general mission of it. Like there's no way he's complacent. And so that's really what it was. It's about the elimination of your own bullshit through like movement, motivation, and mindset. And I want to seek out my weak parts and seek out the parts of me that are holding me back, that are my drag, whether that's, emotional or whether it's people I'm dealing with, and really taking control of my life and saying, I won't tolerate that type of bullshit from me, or admit I want it and then live with it. You don't get both.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was just this really no tolerance to it.
No tolerance, almost hating the excuses.
Yep.
Hating the excuses you're allowed to give yourself. And I can see that. I can relate to that because the more you make excuses, the easier it is to continue to make those and to settle, and to almost weaken your mindset, your drive for doing something great in this world.
Well, the excuses give control to someone else. I don't want that. There's so many factors in my life that I can't control. Tons. But the ones that I can, which, the food I put in my mouth, how I decide to physically take care of my body, what information I intake, and what the people around me are. I can control all those things. I can control where my energy gets spent. I control where I choose to share or waste energy. And for me, like, I'm not giving it to some guy in traffic. He doesn't get a vote on how I spend my day or where my energy goes. Like, you don't get a choice, dude. I'm not giving you 1% of my energy today because you drive stupid. I'll move on.
Yeah.
And so getting better at managing all that with the mindset too of like, I don't have excuses for why I can't do things. I know that for me, I do all the things that are a priority. And if I'm not doing a thing, it's because it's not a priority.
What are some of the priorities in your life?
I was thinking about that on the drive over for whatever reason. And one is I want to create. I like making things, and whether that's designing the inside of the house or content or telling stories or writing a book or any of it or drawing, and I love all of it. So getting to do that. And then, the other side of that too, for me is, man, I want to build my dreams. That's it. And my dreams are being able to create for a living. My dreams are being able to be around people that are happy and want what I want in their lives. I want a bunch of people that are just stoked doing stuff, that are trying to just let it go, man. I just want to be around other lunatics who are fired up about doing their thing.
That zest for life, that you're in love with life and doing stuff, which makes the world better, makes your life better, makes your friendships better, your community better. I love that because you have this energy about you that I really enjoy when I'm around you. Like when we went to Kuya, whenever we were getting the ice and in the sauna, we were having these just incredible conversations. We were there with Zach Bitter, also Anson, but Zach, you and him are getting together tonight.
Right.
Zach's been a guest of this show. I've been a guest on his show.
Yeah, what a savage that guy is.
What a savage to be able to
totally
run.
different savage too, right? Like,
oh yeah,
incredible.
Yeah, because he might not be able to do what you do, lift a ton of weight, or what I do, and fight another dude, but he could outrun us. He could run circles around us for days.
Well, I think about, like, are you familiar with like persistence hunting?
I'm not.
So
why don't you tell me that?
There's a tribe of something, and I remember watching this, and the way they hunt, called persistence hunting, essentially without tools. And so this group in Africa, I can't remember exactly where, but they're runners. And so they'll run an antelope to death. And so they'll separate it from the herd, and they keep tracking it and stalking it, and may run it down over 10 hours. And then the thought is that over long distance, the bipedal 2 legs wins, simply because I can carry water. I can carry food. I can keep going. Whereas they're on all fours. They don't manage food well. They sweat, they burn up faster. They're not long haul animals. And they literally run it until it gives up. And like Zach could do that.
Yeah.
He ran 100 miles in 11 hours.
Wow. He's going to run across America for Fight for Forgotten. Oh yeah. We talked about that from the Brooklyn Bridge to the Golden Gate Bridge. That is wild.
He tried to talk me in today. He's like, when are you going to do an ultra? And I get to coach you on it. I'm like, I have a fake knee. I'm 38 and 230 pounds. This isn't my sport, my friend. I'll do another 30K. I did one last year in Bryce Canyon. It was great fun. Great fun. Super hard challenge.
30K. What is that in miles?
It was 20.
20.
Well, or that's probably, it was
Little less.
allegedly I signed up for an 18-mile thing, and it turned out to be 20. I wasn't impressed with the last mile and change.
You're doing a lot, man. I mean, you have a coffee company, an apparel brand. You have your podcast, which people can find where?
Yeah, So podcast. Yeah, I didn't even...
Yeah, So. And so you're doing that. You have competed in the Scottish Highlander Games at the highest level and won the World Championships, and you're running these 30Ks.
Well,
sorts
so
of
that's
stuff.
new. The Highland
Yeah.
Games thing's been done
Right.
since 2016 with, when my knee gave up, and then I went through all that excitement. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tons of surgeries. How many?
yeah, 9 on the right knee
nine
total
surgeries on his knee.
in about a 3-year window.
Wow.
And so it basically went from 2016. I took second at Worlds, and my plan was to fix my knee at the end of the season, take a year off, repair, document it, and get back in the fight for 2018. And didn't work out. Didn't work out that way. My body doesn't care for cadaver tissue, and the knee was just too beat. And so 5 ACLs, a meniscectomy, an Oates procedure, a high tibial osteotomy, and finally in April of 2019, a total knee replacement.
Wow.
What is a high tibialostomy?
High tibial osteotomy. Sorry, my Louisiana mush mouth.
Oh, high
Arrived.
I don't. I
High
know so
tibial
little.
osteotomy.
So your tibial plateau.
I go in for that consultation of we're trying to get out of pain that's on the medial side of my knee. And so he's like, well, we can do this wedge procedure, and that should shift the weight to the outside of your knee where you have cartilage and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, what exactly is that surgery? And he's like, oh, so we go into your tibia here, and we cut about 90% of the way through it, and then wedge it open to change the angle of your leg, and then we let the bone heal. And I'm like, oh, so worst thing imaginable is what you meant to say? Was that sounds great.
It sounds horrific.
Man, that surgery was a really lame recovery
I bet.
because it's essentially a broken leg.
How long does it take you to recover from something like that?
The first
3,
portion
4,
of it,
6 months?
8 weeks is no toe touch pressure. So you
Wow.
have two months in a straight leg brace, so you can't put your foot on the ground. That doesn't make getting around great.
Yeah.
Running businesses or doing anything else. So fun challenge. And then really nothing crazy for the next 4 months. So yeah, about 6 months.
Wow.
And then it was back to pain.
Okay, so let's go back to showing up, because you're a guy that just consistently shows up. Whenever you want to do something, you do it. For instance, So podcast. You're over 200 episodes in. You've been doing it since 2017.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And you haven't missed a week. I mean, that shows consistency. And I think that is the main way of growth. But whenever you love something, you're willing to suffer for it. Or whenever you are driven by hate, like you say.
Yeah.
Like you're going to make sure you get up and you do it regardless of how you feel.
Well, right. What do you mean how I feel? That's not up for debate. Like this is a thing we chose to do. We're going to do it. I mean, the same way training and getting ready for Highland Games or those seasons or any of that. And one of the big advantages of Highland Games for me was how solitary it is. And so there's not gyms that do it, and there's not really any coaches. And so you coach yourself, especially when I was doing it. So the only other guys as peers are basically these other 15 dudes around the world that are my ability.
Right.
And so I'm making video content and sharing with them to help. How does this look? What are we guys thinking? Trying to figure it all out. And because it was so solo, I'm not accountable to anyone else. No one's showing up in the garage to train with me, and no one's going to the field to throw with me 4 days this week. It matters to me. I don't care if anyone else gets it. I don't need you to. I don't mind that you don't understand, and nor am I apologizing for it. You don't get a vote. This is what I'm obsessed with. I don't need you to back me. And because that went the way it did, and I knew it takes 10 years to be good at anything.
Yeah.
So I might as well get started. I don't care how the first couple years of a podcast go. I don't care how the first couple years of an apparel brand go. I don't care how the first couple years of a coffee company thing goes. It takes 10 years. So let's be consistent.
Onnit.com/overcome. You know those times when you're so into what you're doing that you can't think about anything else? The days when you finish your work without looking up once? How do you like to feel that kind of focus every single day? Whether I'm training for or in an MMA fight, or if I'm engaged in a new philanthropy project, or sitting down in front of an epic podcast host or guest, I want to get into that flow state faster and stay engaged longer. With Alpha Brain, you can. Its clinically studied nootropic ingredients support memory, mental speed, and flow state, that feeling of being in the zone, so you can be focused and productive anytime. It's a world-renowned nootropic supplement with more than 1 million bottles sold. Why? Because it works! I know it works. I want you to, too. With its trademarked ingredient blends, Alpha Brain helps build an environment in which your brain can operate on all cylinders, promoting lasting mental clarity. It also helps your vision too. You can save up to 30% when you try Alpha Brain today. Give yourself the gift of a healthier, higher functioning brain. That's a no-brainer. Try Alpha Brain today. Onnit.com/overcome. Yeah, be consistent. Consistency is key for sure.
For everything.
For everything. So
For
what does
any type of
consistency
progress.
mean for you? For any type of progress, what is consistency?
Man, showing up every day with the intent to get better.
Hmm.
You know, just simply that. Like, I don't have an expectation on it, but we're showing up today. You know, recently I've really worked hard on getting my morning routine how I want it. I think it matters to me. And it was one of those things of, if this matters to you and you have the ability to do it, why aren't you? And if it matters, go do it, or admit it doesn't and say it doesn't and quit pretending it does. And we'll quit wasting energy on a thing we don't care about. And so I do believe it matters, and I've stuck to it. And, you know, every day so far for this year, my morning routine's been killer.
And what does that look like for you?
Perfect morning.
Perfect
If
morning.
you could.
Yeah.
I will head to the gym, which is, you know, my spot, little private place I've got in St. Louis where the podcast studio is, stuff like that. Dope, as it's been named, as the brand. I haven't named anything the same, by the way. I don't know if that's smart for marketing. I know it isn't. It's really complicated to tell people 14 different things if you're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the gym I named Dope.
Dope
It's
Gym.
Division of Performance Enhancement.
Okay.
And that's what it's about, man. It's a place to get better. And that's why I built it. And so if I'm going to do it, that's why I have the place. I get up in the morning and I do an hour of cardio right now, usually on the bike or treadmill, zone 2 stuff, or do some intervals depending on how bored I am, but an hour. And then while I'm doing that, I'm typically listening to a podcast or watching a documentary, something I'm interested in, knowing more about.
Yeah.
Lately, it has been spent time on the metaverse, trying to wrap any head around that, because I don't believe it's going anywhere. So I may as well educate myself instead of pretending I hope it leaves.
Right.
Very
Or you could just move to Europe, where
move to Europe.
they're not going to take it.
Bah. Oof. Interesting times we're in. So I do that on the treadmill, and then I try to spend about an hour in the sauna. And in the sauna, I will do audiobook, because usually ADD is kicked in enough by then that I'm tired of whatever an hour's a stretch for full attention. So move to the sauna, put on an audiobook, and then usually from the audiobook, I'll get journaling prompts in my head of like, oh, that makes me think about this. And I'll get on the phone and crank something out. That usually turns into apparel ideas. It usually turns into blog posts. It usually turns into podcast ideas or things to write and talk about. And then I wrap up with 3 minutes of breath work in the cold. Start the day.
Nice.
Feel great.
Nice. And you have one of those ice barrels.
I've got an ice barrel and I've got the cold plunge.
The cold plunge.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I've got both.
Cool.
They're great. Both of them are incredible.
Yeah. Which one do you prefer?
So far, I use both. If it's below freezing outside, I'll use the ice barrel that's outside because the ambient temperature, and I'd rather just be in the open air. And typically it's about sunrise the time I'm getting into it. So if I can nail that and get circadian rhythm, why not? I'll never buy ice to fill this thing. I have a tub that stays cold. I'll never go buy ice. And so I'm aware of that. And so summer, it'll be the one inside, of course. But I think both are great.
Yeah.
I think both have been incredible tools to have.
Right. Well, so your morning routine on the perfect day, I mean, that I would think that just charges you up.
I mean, it's 2+ hours of prep, right?
Right.
I mean, my thought about that is if what it is of being an entrepreneur and the thing that I'm trying to chase, my job all day is problem solving. Really that simple. Shit that's in the way of where I'd like to go. How do I navigate it? And creative problem solving is one of the things I want to get better at, and figuring out how to keep growing business and whatever it is, or new ideas, or how do we make a shift to this or try a new thing. And so that time's really helped a lot with that. And if that's what my job is, taking that time in the morning for me to fix me before diving into those problems is kind of putting my own oxygen mask on before helping anyone else.
Yeah.
And man, of all the high performers and lunatics I know, they take care of their shit in the morning. It's first thing is them. You know, you can't help anyone else if you're not filled. And I believe that. And so why wouldn't I take care of me to make myself as ready to take on the day from the offensive standpoint instead of waking up immediately in defense and reacting to shit. Like I'm on my heels, and I know those days I forget it and I just immediately into my phone and emails, and the problems are more overwhelming than if I do the morning routine.
Yeah.
And man, that morning routine, I can do it in 15 minutes. Worst case scenario. I can get on the treadmill and sprint for 10, run hard for 10 and be tired, and then get in the sauna and then hit the cold. And it's still better than not doing it. I've never done it and been like, ugh, that was a waste.
Right.
And so like, why wouldn't I do that every day? And so when I do it now, like I really take time after I get out of the cold to like, celebrate to me. Like I want to rewire that thing that says like, I don't want to go. Because it still does it every morning. It just doesn't get a vote.
Yeah.
Like, I hear you.
This is a good challenge for me because I haven't been in the ice bath in well over a month. And I was getting in it pretty frequently. And
all the time.
All
You were
the time.
getting in it all the time.
All the
and
time.
you've
I've fallen off.
not been. And
Yeah.
I didn't know why.
Yeah, I've fallen off. So
Because
I
it
think
sucks.
I think
It
for
sucks.
at least
Well, we have been doing cold showers.
We have been doing cold
We have been
showers.
doing cold showers.
but in front of
It's
you
not
two, for the next 7 days at least,
Okay.
I'm going to get in
Once
for
a day.
3 minutes right in the morning.
Well, how
Why,
do
why
right when
not
I
just
wake
take
up.
the intention of that I'm getting in
I'm getting in
every day,
every day.
even if that's a minute,
Yeah.
even if it's a dunk.
Yeah. I'm doing it because I need to get back on it. And I mean, this is just really encouraging. Matt, you talking about your morning routine.
I was
'Cause I've
giving him
gotten off of it.
looks.
She gave me a look and I'm like, yeah, I hear it.
You need to hear that about defense mode and
Yeah, because
just
I've been
starting
real
in your
reactive.
phone,
There's been a
ending
lot
in
of
your phone
stuff.
and starting in your phone.
Yeah.
You know, how do you end the day?
It's tough. It's
yeah,
tough.
it's very hard. It's very hard.
It's very hard.
I try to.
I've just, I'll be honest with you, the last week or two, I've had outside stuff that I've allowed to get in my head, in my way. And I've gotten frustrated and I've gotten off course. I've gotten off course with my stuff and I felt a lot more reactive.
Yeah.
And whenever I start my day and I get inside my planner or review my day and plan my next day the night before, I feel a lot better. And I've gotten off of those daily disciplines. Yesterday, I went to Revival, this motorcycle shop. We'll get to the motorcycle trip
Yeah,
we're going
yeah,
on. But I saw a good friend of mine. And whenever I talked to him, I just was like, hey, you got a few minutes to talk? We talked. He's like, well, how's your morning? How's your night? What are you doing? Are you doing this? Can you do that? You should start doing this. And I was like, thank you, bro.
Well, it's simple
Thank
stuff
you.
like, oh, you're stressed out. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm stressed out. I'm not reacting well. Then immediately, like, what does food look like? What's your sleep look like? What's your morning look like? Are you fucking? Are you, are
Yeah.
you handling all these things that give you the good stuff?
Right.
And if you're not, don't tell me you're trying.
Yeah.
I also understand being really busy, and that's part of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like today here in Austin and most of the days that I'll be here this week, like today started at, 5-ish and we'll wrap sometime after 10.
Yeah.
And I'm on all day. You know what I mean? And you know the difference of being on versus staring at the wall sometimes and having some quiet. But that's not why I'm here. This isn't a vacation trip. I love this.
It's a work trip.
Yeah, I love this.
Yeah.
This is building my dreams. You know what I mean? I don't need support for this or I'm tired. It's your dreams. Why would anyone else give
You're
a shit?
hardcore. I love it.
Isn't it great?
So here for it.
And I get to go hang out with this guy for
I'm glad.
a week at least. You're
His
glad, right?
influence, are you kidding?
Yeah, it's going to be great.
This is
I'm
great.
such an experience junkie.
Yeah, I love
That's
it.
all I care about.
So tell me what we're doing
in March.
Yeah, in March.
So-
Tell me, because I still kind of don't know exactly.
Yeah, so I
I'm
partnered
going to
up-
get my motorcycle license.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got that all squared away, so I will be there on this trip.
Dude, it's going to
But
be good.
tell me how epic this is going to
Yeah, so I got an opportunity to do a trip last year with Indian Motorcycles as fourth wheel. Like literally invited because I'm a friend of rad people. So Steffi Cohen, Hayden Bowe, and then Matt Frazier, the CrossFit Games world champion guy.
Wow.
We went on a trip together with Indian. And the guy who works with Indian, Sean, he and I hit it off, man. And I had a really weird emotional experience on that trip. Driving back down PCH through Big Sur.
Wow. I've done that twice, that trip,
Dude.
but not on motorcycles.
And dude,
just
on a bike.
driving.
I'm doing it on the bike and riding that way. Because you're so present on a motorcycle, you can't zone out like a car. And so, but it's also, you're not solving math problems all day. You're not super, super present, but like you're paying attention. Your hands are busy. Your feet are busy. You're looking at stuff, but your brain has plenty of time to wander. And while you're riding with four people, we're not talking. We're in flow state. Like we're a group and we're moving and flowing and being on the bike and having cruise control and your hand's not on it and you're playing music on the gas tank and like, man, was special. I just remember how present it felt and being aware of those years that I was hurt and in pain, man. I traveled with a cane for 2 years.
Wow.
Like I couldn't walk more than about 200 yards a day before that's it. Like we're just done. Like I remember saying stuff like, how far are we going to walk?
Mm.
And I'm like, not interested. It was too expensive for me. You know, I couldn't do anything for the next 3 days if I did that. And so I had submitted to that was life. And now that it isn't, I'm very aware. I had been okay with that was going to be the path forward for as long as I could stomach it. And now that I'm not trapped in that, let's go. I don't know how long this thing lasts.
Are you without pain?
Yeah, relative. My hip's pretty bad. I probably need a hip replacement relatively soon.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't move real well, my right hip. Knee's fine. But the hip took a pretty big brunt of limping on it pretty hard for a couple years and walking on a straight leg and just crushing the hip socket. So, look,
Yeah.
it's not like I was nice to this thing. This is my fault. There isn't some accident or train that hit me that I wasn't aware of. I did this, right? And at the end of my time, when they cut this tree in half and examine the rings, there's a couple decades of fire damage. Tree grows different around it at the end. And so, it's cool. And now that I get to try stuff again, I want to try stuff. I got to spend so long very specific chasing one thing. And so now that I'm back and kind of can do a lot of stuff, I'm not going to be a world champion again. It's out of the cards. Cool. Most people don't get one. I won't get two. Especially not in some other discipline. Maybe other than being Matt Vincent. I could be the best at doing that. And
I love that.
yeah, now that I can chase it, man, I just want to steal all the beginner gains from as many different things as possible and then like quit when it gets hard. Like, oh, okay, this is kind of potential of like learn. All right, I'm out. And then what do I need to do to maintain it? So I did that run last year, went from, I've never run before. That's not a thing I've done.
You've had a massive transformation, right? What did you used to weigh?
About 290.
290,
big
and you're
fighting
walking
weight.
around at what now?
I was 222 this morning.
Wow.
Which I should probably be heavier than that currently.
Yeah, but I mean, you look great.
I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
It couldn't be any less
It's more
important to
functional,
me.
probably.
Way
right
more
now.
functional. And what I want my machine to do now is
Longevity.
perform all day
Yeah.
and have a bigger gas tank and be able to manage more stress longer. Because if I can do that, I can problem solve longer.
And the very sport specific training you were doing were for high intensity, short burst.
That's it. 1 second.
Not endurance. Yeah, 1 second.
I have 27 attempts at a games. That's
Wow.
it. 27. I probably, like, people are like, man, how many calories do you think you burn all day? I'm like, I don't know, 100. It's a bunch of half-second burst, right? Like, yeah, there's a
there's
there's
a
a solid
transformation
difference.
picture. If you're not seeing this, I mean, if you're watching online, great on YouTube. And if you're listening to this, there's a picture on the left of Matt at, what would you say that weight is?
Ooh,
It says 318.
something around memory foam.
Memory foam.
You could leave a handprint in that fella.
You're curvy.
Yeah, curvy.
I was just at the UFC fights in Houston this last weekend on the second row with Jared Padalecki. And the picture on the left, you look almost like Tai Tuivasa, who fought. And whenever he was being pushed up, he won. He beat Derek Lewis, knocked him out. But whenever he was pushed up against the cage, he was one of the first fighters I've seen that you could actually see kind of
Go into the cage.
the skin going through
nice.
it. And that's what you look like you could potentially do. You look actually harder firmer than Ty did. But on the right, I mean, you were just shredded.
Yeah, so
Shredded,
that would have
6,
been
8-pack, whatever you call that.
It's, it's so relative, right? Because imposter syndrome or whatever still pops up, right? Because my friends, I've been lucky enough that I've got close friends with Dana Lynn Bailey, who was Miss Olympia, and Flex Lewis, who's 7-time Mr. Olympia. Like, I know what shredded is. That ain't it. That's that's as cool as my machine's ever looked.
Well, it's
Don't
incredibly
get me wrong.
lean.
Very, very proud of it.
That's incredibly lean.
But like,
I've never looked that way.
I know
so
the
congratulations
difference in what those
to you.
people do.
Yeah.
Dude, biggest thing, it's food.
Food.
Working with a nutrition company changed everything.
Okay.
It's fuel, and I just treat it. It's there in the fridge. Eat that. Stop thinking about it.
And how long of a difference is this?
So
between
the picture on the left, I would say that is probably a meniscectomy bandage on the knee. So I would say March of 2016, and that one on the right is last year.
Okay,
So like
2021.
October, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, 5 years.
Do you know how much you weighed on the left?
I'm probably at the upper.
318?
Oh, no.
Oh.
290, 295.
290, 295. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so how did you feel on the left and how do you feel on the right? Like, what's the difference?
On the left, let's say
Before and after.
Let's say a
before
week
and
ago before meniscectomy.
Okay. Yeah.
Awesome. That machine does anything I ever asked it to.
Okay.
That guy there is incredibly strong.
Great.
I can push press 440 pounds. I was able to still do a standing backflip at 300 pounds
Wow,
doing
that's
strongman.
awesome,
That machine performs fantastically.
Yeah.
Looks like mush, does incredible stuff. The one on the right hurts a lot more, but is more aesthetically pleasing. It's much more of a show car at this point
Okay.
than a functional
Well, that's
thing.
interesting to think about because I'm at the heavyweight. I mean, there's guys that are much more shredded than I am,
Mhm.
but they actually don't have the endurance. I don't feel like they have the same strength. I've never felt overpowered, but I might be more on the chubby side for heavyweight. And there's guys that come in just shredded, and I'm like, come here.
Well,
Come give it to me.
One doesn't
I'm
have any to
excited.
do with the other.
Yeah, exactly. It's
And-
functional. What's functional?
Guys like Mariusz Pudzianowski, right? Like previous world's strongest man, got into MMA.
Oh, yeah. And they call him the purple people eater.
Yeah. This is not a big enough air intake to fuel that muscle.
Right.
It just isn't going to work long term.
Yeah.
And that's how it goes. And more muscle has to require more oxygen, more blood. And
Would you say your knee is the toughest thing that you've had to overcome physically?
y'all 100%.
Okay.
Yeah. And, and the knee brought a lot of other stuff on.
Right.
Right.
Now your hip.
Yeah. I had no problem with the idea that Highland Games would come to an end. I know that. Like, high school football ended. Everything has had a chapter. And because I knew the Highland Games would come to this end, I was really prepared for when that would happen. What I never expected was the fact that I wouldn't be athletic.
Mm.
I didn't expect that part to go away. And I didn't realize how much of me and my confidence and my identity for sure was shared in the fact that I got dropped into this machine.
Mm.
And it's just always performed. I've taken it for granted for a really long time and did not treat it well. And I paid for that. I don't have any regrets about it. That's how I learn. Hit it with a hammer a bunch and see how it responds and move on. I try to use better tools than that now to manage it.
Right. What do you think? Let's shift gears a little bit. What do you think has been some of the toughest stuff you've had to overcome? Do you have a story, like just in your personal life or mentally, emotionally, that you've had to really, maybe it was a struggle that you had to dig deep, rise up, and fucking overcome some challenge?
So that all kind of falls into that window. And so
Okay.
in that window of life, so 2014, in April, my father passed away.
Oof.
So my father died of pancreatic cancer, 11 months, start to finish. And the end of it, shot himself. And I don't feel any weirdness about that, right? Like, I wouldn't have let our dog live that way. I fucking hate that we have to have people suffer through that shit and can't. Because now that I got hurt afterwards, I could see it a totally different way with a lot more empathy for my dad of, you're trapped in there. Your brain's not sick. You're just stuck in that thing now that can't get out of bed. Like, your brain doesn't not want to go fishing and hunting and go in the yard and do all that. It's not sick. It's not cloudy. The machine won't operate. And I got there. And so, he passed away, and that really triggered that.
And how old are you?
So
at that time?
I turned 31 the next day. He died at 62. And that really hit home. And I remember thinking, halfway. And if I'm halfway through the ride, and at that time, especially my personal belief system, I don't know that I believe there's much after this, or I sure can't bank on it. It'd be real cool if there is, but meanwhile, I'm worried about this ride and making the most of it. And so if that's the case, man, 31 more years at that point, that's 1,612 weeks, man. I better get busy. Now I'm 38. It's like 1,220 weeks that I have left to do everything I would like to do on earth.
Wow.
And so, I kind of got that feeling, and that starts spracking off. And then so later that year, I won a world championship still. I still managed to get the apparel brand going. Was really trying to chase that dream, and then got hurt. And then that went bad, man. Like, I went from, like I said, I took second in the world and the end of 2016 competing, and then by March of the next year, like I'm on a cane. I travel with a cane. I'm on crutches all the time. I can't do shit. I hang out at the house and I eat pills. And that, it's not sustainable. It wasn't good for myself and my ex-wife. Fucked a lot of that up. But you don't see it till you're out of what was the problem, right? Just too much, man. It was just too much of me being fucked up and hurt and unhappy and depressed and not knowing what to do with it. And the only thing I knew to do was keep pouring the gas on anything that works, and which was hate brand or any of the other things, because I can't let that fall too. Like, if that's something I can control, I can't let it slide. That makes everything worse. And, not everything made it. I got out of that window, but the marriage didn't. And, that was really sucked, man. That was really, really rough.
You're sitting here with two people that have been divorced as well, and it's a tough thing to go through.
It was really,
It's
really bad.
really tough.
It was really bad. Those feelings. Because my marriage wasn't bad. She's great. I love Ashley. I love my ex-wife. She's family, but that we wanted very different things at that point in life, and neither of us. Why compromise? Like, if you want that and I want this, go, and let's be cool. Let's consider each other still allies, and that we got to spend 10 years of our lives together. Like, why do the only options for us have to be never speak again or live together forever? Those seem really fucking weird to me.
Yeah. I've never actually thought of that.
It's true.
That is true.
Like, we can't
Holy
just mosey
shit.
back to friends. Like, we spent, as much as I love my partner, Bonnie, I can't share 22 to 33 or 35 with her. And that's a really valuable window of life. That's becoming an adult. Like, her and I became adults together.
Right.
We figured it out. We got jobs. We made a living. We re-educated through various things. And so, man, I'm honored I got to share that time with her.
Right.
And a lot of that comes in hindsight.
Yeah.
a lot of work on me.
That's a really good perspective, man.
I've worked on that a lot.
Yeah, I bet.
Controlling.
I bet because did you struggle? I struggled a lot with feeling like it was failure,
Of course.
right? Failure. And,
Dude,
I
saying you're
failed at this.
divorced.
Yeah.
Like,
There's a big
ugly-
stigma.
That's what I thought.
Stigma that comes with it.
And until
I mean, there
now I
used to be.
realized,
Yeah. Well, that's what everybody says.
Well,
It's
that's
a
what everyone
failed
says.
marriage. And
Well,
you're
it's
like,
a failed
I don't want to
marriage.
view it that way.
where did you grow
Yeah.
up?
Killeen, Texas.
Okay, so same ballpark. Louisiana, Texas,
Yeah.
all the same.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it is. And especially looking at it from her standpoint of like, she's a 30-year-old woman, divorced, no kids. And we spent 18 months trying to have kids and it didn't work out. And that was in the process of also 3 years of knee surgery and pain. It's a lot.
That's a lot to go through. Amy, what about your perspective? Amy's twice divorced, but it's.
Well, I've had to do a lot of work on it.
Yeah.
I mean, and I have a child from each. So, I really like what you said, though. There's so much value in that stage of your life, really cool. But, you think you're marrying the love of your life. And then I realized, I got the love of my life. It's my children. I got this child and this child, like these people that wouldn't be here otherwise. And actually, I was working on gratitude just today, just sitting and spending some time in that space. And I was finding gratitude for each of them, even though there's been a bunch of bullshit around it.
Of course there is.
Of course
They're
there
people.
is. Yeah. And you know what? I was like, you know what? They helped me create these souls, these amazing daughters. And so, I mean, you're loving my life too, but you know how
Yeah, exactly.
how I
Look,
feel
love's not
about
a
that.
scarce commodity.
No, it is not.
Yeah.
It is not a finite
No,
resource.
no. I'm allowed to love a
So-
lot of people.
Yeah.
And so I also look at it like you wouldn't say, if you had a couple of businesses that you had for 10 years each, you wouldn't say they were failed businesses. You'd probably be like,
Well, that's
those
a
were
weird,
great.
That's
you know?
a weird spot too. And I thought about that when my bike shop closed. Like,
Yeah.
well, at what point when a business closes is it a failure? Right?
Yeah.
Are you allowed to be like, oh well, I don't know, is any monster companies that were around that just don't exist anymore? Like, at what point is it a failure? So I don't know how I define failure anymore.
Yeah.
And also, failure is a far better coach than success has
Yeah.
ever been. Be like, just, everything's gone great. Like, I had to figure out shit. And so for me, I need it. I'm a hard-headed, stubborn bastard, and sometimes I need it beaten into me.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I can relate.
the universe has agreed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think my parents agreed as well growing up that, that was the type of kid I was. I'm a challenging kid. And I'm a lunatic of an adult. And I'm glad I don't have to pretend I'm not.
Oh man. I really like that perspective because even I can go back and meditate and learn from what others might have deemed a failure and be able to look at that relationship and find more gratitude like you did today, Amy. And it feels weird calling you Amy, but we're on the show.
Yeah, it does.
Babe, thanks for that because I think that I'm going to take what you guys just said and be like, wow, having those two options, like we're together forever or never speak to each other again. And it's like, no, I can find real gratitude in that relationship, which I don't think I've given myself enough time to do, finding that gratitude and being like, no, you know what? I'm grateful for what I learned and how I know I've taken into our relationship and really want a successful one.
It really does
And-
take time, though,
Yeah.
and work.
Of course. Consistent
Takes
effort,
time
just
to,
like anything else you give a shit about.
Practice, yeah.
Nothing's going to just work. It doesn't work that way. And at least in my life, so I'm done pretending it will.
Right.
So yeah, that's the other one of like, the mindset shift of like, I'm not interested in expectation anymore at all. I just want to focus on my intent because, if my intent this week was to come to Austin, connect with people, do as many shows as I can and get a chance to meet new people and build more connections and relationships and time, then that's a pretty easy win to hit when I could possibly do the exact same, output of what I did, where I went, who I talked to. But if my expectations coming into it were crazy of like, I'm going to do this show with Justin and we're going to do this and we're going to go and whatever else it is, right? This made up fantasy I have about how the motorcycle trip should turn out, right?
Right.
There's no evidence to base any of that in reality. I have some goals and direction I would like things to go, but my intention is to get the best thing done I can. And it's going to take problem solving. Doing hard things is really hard to do.
Yeah.
They're not easy. They don't work as planned. Nothing does. And so why would I expect it to? What I expect to find now are problems. And the problems let me know that I'm going the right way. Because everyone I've ever met who's in a position that I would like to be in has figured that shit out. So it's either figure it out or find something else.
So figuring things out, if we went back to relationships, because you are a guy that, I mean, just from knowing you for a few months really, and us getting to go on this epic trip with people you love, and you have deep relationships with, I get to be included in on that. I'm a benefactor, so thank you so much. For the listeners, we're going from Charleston, South Carolina, down to the Florida Keys.
Yeah, all the way to the southernmost point.
Wow.
Hopefully jump in the water.
Yeah, let's jump in the water. We got to.
Anyway,
that sounds
to do
epic.
that, I would plan on it.
Can we ride into the water? That's probably not good.
But it didn't be bummed.
I've been there.
Have you been to southernmost point?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been there, and yeah, you can get in the water.
It's beautiful.
I think so.
Sick.
Just don't ride the motorcycles.
I don't know about that.
I don't think Evil
I won't
Knievel
do
would
that,
ride
yeah.
in.
Oh, that would be such an amazing end.
Zing.
Awesome. It's for promotion.
Yeah, it'd be
He'll make it
great.
epic. But to talk about relationships, because you have rich relationships in your life, what are some of the key points you've learned to make a relationship valuable or great, having that intent to have a good relationship? What are some of the things you've learned about relationships? What make them valuable?
I show up.
Yeah.
That's a big one for me. So my relationships and stuff like that, that I value, I know how to manage them. I spent 10 years after the bike shop, after doing the terrible job at AT&T, working in the petrochemical field in the South as an outside sales rep. So 4 of those years are spent cold calling people every day and getting someone to answer to agree to have a meeting with me to go take a stranger to lunch. And so if I can maintain relationships with people who don't want to see me, I can probably do it pretty good with people I'd like to talk to. And that part is you have to give. You have to be valuable. Like, that's how you maintain relationships. You're valuable to that person as a solid person, as someone they can count on, as someone that provides something back to them. I want to help, man. I want to see you build your dreams too. Nothing would make me more stoked. You being successful does not take away from mine. There's no scarcity there. The only scarce commodity is time, man. That's it. And so with those relationships, it took a long time whenever I started it, and was traveling around and got a chance to meet people. And then I realized, like, I would meet someone, Kelly Starrett, one of my favorite people, mentor, wrote a book called Becoming a Supple Leopard, mobility WOD stuff. And so essentially why anyone's using foam rollers or lacrosse balls is because of Kelly.
Right.
And what an incredible human who welcomed me very open arms into his life in 2015. And I've been has been a mentor since. And Kelly's traveled to see me once. And that's okay. I don't care. He's really busy and has 2 kids. I don't. So the way I can help this relationship is I go. I don't have a problem going. I don't have that feeling of, this isn't fair. Why don't they come to me? I came twice and they don't see me. I go because I need it. I need to be around those people. I need to see that fire. I need to see people who are building their own universe, who are completely unreasonable about it. Like, that's what fires me up. I don't want to be around people who talk about shit. I want to be around people that do. And they're not going to find me. So I got to go to them, and I got to figure out how to help. How can I help you do your thing so I can watch? Let me take notes and see what works here and what works here and what doesn't work. And that's relationships with anyone. With my partner now, Bonnie, it's the same thing. Like I have to take time to put energy to that so that it gets the attention and grows the same way it does. And she's great because she's another lunatic. And so
she looks great.
She gets
looks
it.
like she'd be fun. Just to be around. Y'all look like y'all have a great relationship.
We have a great time. And there's a ton of understanding and freedom of, Bonnie's 33 and, we've been together for 3 years. So for the previous 30 years of her life, she sure didn't need my fucking help telling her what to do every day. I fell in love with a woman that has not needed my fucking help. So why am I going to show up and try to fix this and change it to fit something I would like to be some mold? Fuck that. Yo, let her go. Let her run her thing. You need my help, let me know. Till then, got your back. Full support. I don't get a vote in her life. And she doesn't get one in mine. I'm not obligated to be with her. I'm not obligated to do any of that. You know, it's a choice. I choose her every day. And I choose that person, not the one I'm trying to build her into. I don't want to change her. No, I love that. We're going to change naturally together and grow together through shared experiences and those type of things. I don't need to make sure our routine of cleaning the house matches something that I was used to in a former relationship. Like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? I can catch those things too. Like, well, you know, I used to like it this way. Who gives a shit? You're not there anymore. You left. So stop trying to turn this into what was. And having that feeling of like unconditional support that I trust you're doing what you believe is best for you and your universe. Let me know how I can help. And until you need someone to run a question by, I'm here to help. I'm not here going to nag and criticize. And she's great. And we've gotten better at communicating. I'm a lot to deal with in a relationship. I'm just full speed like this from the moment basically I'm awake until
you crash.
Until you cover me in a blanket and I fall asleep like a bird. And so she's far more protective of her energy around me because I'll be manic and crazy. And so now we've gotten to a point to explain like, hey, I'm going to dream about a thing for a minute, which means we can just let loose and we don't have to problem solve why we can't turn this property we live on into whatever, a glass monolith that we'd want to live in. And yeah, I love that I can dream, and I love that she's on board with anything's possible. Anything's possible. And so if anything's possible, let's try. I've accomplished a ton of things I've set out to do. Why not try bigger things? Who knows what happens? I'd like to find out. I'm okay with failing. That's great.
What are some of the things you want to do? Because you have so much going. You have the podcast, you have your YouTube channel, you have Hate Brand Goods, you have the coffee brand, you have a lot on your plate, and there's more you're adding to it. But where do you see this going in 5 years?
I don't know. All I know now is I want to do as much as I can today to give that guy as many options as he can possibly have to do whatever he wants. I'm not trying to set his path as much as just hook him up. And whether that's have some real estate shit going, because it takes time. Because if 5 years from now, I'd like that guy to have some Airbnbs, I better get started now. If I want that guy to have this other stuff, I better get started now. Like plant the tree now so that I have a tree in 5 years. I don't want to talk about in 5 years, I'll plant a tree. And so I just want to hook that dude up. And right now, I can't go back 10 years and tell 28-year-old me, who's in 2012, hasn't really started throwing yet, hasn't sold any shirts. I can't explain to him what 10 years down the road looks like. Hey man, you've got a bunch of businesses, a podcast, you travel around all the time, you're doing a show with Indian. Yeah, you're full of shit. Oh, also you're not married and you live in St. Louis. What? Like you're full of shit, dude. Right? So I'm not trying to predict the next 10. I have no idea. Let it run.
Fightfortheforgotten.org. You can go check out Fight for the Forgotten, the foundation that I started. It is my passion project. It is something that I love so much because of the people we get to help. We get to help the pygmy tribe who adopted me in help themselves. We say opportunity is greater than charity. Charity can be great, but opportunity is just always better. That's why we've drilled something like 80 water wells already, providing over 30,000 people clean water. We've started sustainable farms, bought back over 3,000 acres of land for the people who originally owned it, put it in their name. We built 32 homes, and now we're about to start a health center, a school, and a marketplace. They're going to have a maternity ward, a pediatrics unit, and a dental suite. You can join the Fight for the Forgotten Fight Club at fightfortheforgotten.org. We would love, love, love to invite you on this journey to join this fight arm in arm with us. Our fight club, it's a monthly giving club. You can give $5 or more a month, and that empowers us to empower people. Thank you for being on this journey with us. I invite you to come along for the ride. It's been absolutely epic, putting love and compassion in action and fighting for people. Fightfortheforgotten.org. Join our fight club.
I like that. There was, have you heard Matthew McConaughey whenever they asked him, who's your hero?
Mm.
Have you heard that?
I'll let you
briefly. I might slaughter it a little bit, but it's a really good YouTube video that someone played for me once. And I listened to it and I was like, wow, that's an interesting perspective. But I think it was whenever he was like 15, 16, 17, someone asked him, who's your hero? And he said, I would have to think about it. And so he thought about it for like, I don't know if it was a day or a week, but when he saw the person next, they said, have you thought about it? And he said, yeah. And they said, who is it? And he said, it's myself in 10 years from now.
Hell yeah.
And they're like, what? And they kind of challenged him on it, I think. But he goes, they go, why? He goes, because I'm not that person yet, but I want to be someone that in 10 years from now, I want to be my own hero. And so the person asked him 10 years later, he stumbled upon this person again. He goes, so are you your own hero yet? He goes, no, I'm not.
10 years.
And they were basically saying, oh, so who is your hero then? And they were expecting to get a real person, but he was like, myself in 10 years.
Damn right, dude.
It hasn't changed yet. And then 10 years later goes by and he's got an Academy Award or whatever it is. And they ask him and he goes, it's myself in 10 years. And he just says he's always chasing that person. I think for the reason he has that mindset, or you and him have that similar mindset together.
Have you read Atomic Habits?
I have the journal, but I haven't read Atomic Habits yet. Tell me all about it.
Some of the little stuff in there for me.
James Clear, Atomic Habits.
Especially, say, like with my morning routine, right?
Yeah.
This thing that I've been really hard-nosed about since January 1st. What does 5 years me look like? How am I hooking that dude up if I commit to doing that every day for the next 5 years? If I believe that makes me some tiny percent better, 1, 0.1, 100th, I don't care. If it's better, it's worth it.
Mm.
Because if we're on a straight line trajectory, right, and we're looking at, say we're shooting, and you're shooting at 1,000 yards, you move the barrel 1 degree, that bullet's in a very different place 1,000 yards downrange. I don't need to move 5% today. I just need to move 0.1% every day. And one of my local friends here, a lovely human, John Wellborn, another great human you should meet, 12-year NFL pro and complete psychopath. He talks about it like, it's moving dirt. Every day's moving dirt. It's an endless pile of dirt, and some days you got a backhoe, and some days you got a spoon. Keep moving dirt.
I love that.
And so, man, I'm trying to move dirt.
Yeah.
I just want every day to be a +1.
Wow. That's a great perspective, man. I'm honestly just sitting here and kind of just soaking all this up. It's really, really good knowledge to be able to get you to where you want to be. And sometimes I get so caught up in thinking about where I want to be that my feet aren't where I'm at, or thinking about like regret of the past. I've stumbled a lot in addiction, and I've had to go to treatment twice in my life. And I can look at those moments and be regretting them at times. But honestly, this time around, the second time I went, I got so much out of it that I'm so grateful that I went, that I did it, that I can't look back on it really with regret, except for gratitude. Like, thank goodness, because I'm setting myself up for success.
Right.
But
thank that dude.
Yeah, thank that dude. Yeah, exactly. Amy's told me many times, I got to love the old me. Thank the old me.
Even the addict, right?
Yeah.
Who's fucking stuff up. That guy, he's not dead.
Yeah.
So thanks.
He's almost died twice.
Cool.
But he's not
you
dead.
Didn't. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate you for keeping that % on the road just a little bit. Because this is a lot more fun getting a chance to do this.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but I think the way that you're saying it, I mean, it's just, you're being present, you're being here right now, but you have a goal of where you want to be. And not that it has to look like anything except for experiences, a good fucking life, one that I love to live, or that you love to live, and doing cool shit with your friends, doing epic things, having deep and meaningful relationships. I mean, this is awesome.
You know, as much as we talked about time being the only scarce commodity, like one of the things that hit me when I was hurt was being down for 8 weeks, and I don't have anything of importance to tell you happens in that 8 weeks. It's that memory is boop, gone, right? And so how many nights on the couch, how many weeks at home, how many months disappear, and it's just next month's tomorrow, man, at the speed stuff goes. But if I'm on a trip or doing a new thing and I'm uncomfortable and I'm really present and I'm experiencing a new environment and talking to people like today, like being really busy all day, you know, today doesn't blend in with any other days in my life. So I want to make more days that don't blend. Like that's how I slow down time. I focus on today, and today mattering, not, well, I could do it tomorrow. You know, I don't have any guarantee that tomorrow happens. So focus on today and do those things. And again, you know, it's not this all grasshopper and no ant. You know, I'm still preparing for the future. Like I'm doing both, but if I don't do the job 100% today, I'm not hooking that dude up. Like, yo, you're a bad employee. Like, this is your dream, dude. Is it important? Because if it's not to anyone else, and it never will be. It can't be more important. I can't want you to win more than you do.
Right.
I can't believe in your dreams more than you do.
Right.
And so if that's the case, yo, believe in your dreams. Believe in your thing. Believe in yourself. And for people that like have that energy, that want to do the entrepreneur thing and try and create and do any of that, but don't know what your thing is, there's someone like me or you guys that has a thing that's working that needs that energy. Go help, go learn, and then you can figure out how to start your thing. And because scarcity doesn't exist, man, I would love my employees to fucking kill it. I will happily work for them down the road if they do better than this. I will happily switch gears and be full help for them. You know, I want to spend as many of days of the rest of my life doing whatever I want.
Yeah. Wow. And we get to go on a motorcycle trip.
Get to go on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Which I haven't even talked about yet.
We haven't even talked about. So, I mean, we've got about 15 more minutes before you got to get out of here.
Yeah,
and
but
us too.
We'll get there.
But I mean, you're going to get to go see Rogan tonight, so that's going to be epic.
Should be fun.
With Zach. We're going to a soccer game tonight with Jared Padalecki, who's an actor.
Oh, right on.
Walker, Texas Ranger.
That's so
who I got to
fun.
go to the fights with. So we got places to be and stuff to do. But what is this going to be like? Where did you start riding motorcycles? We're going to do another recap after this trip. But how did this even come about? And I get to be included, and I'm learning how to ride a motorcycle. I've rode motorcycles in Africa,
Which is great.
but I've only been on dirt roads where 18-wheelers that are
I imagine you'll be
overhauling.
just fine.
I think I'm going to do okay. I did go over the bars once because an 18-wheeler, a lorry, almost hit me. It was overhauled with logs, and it started tipping towards me, and I had to go off and went down about a 10-foot
Did it
little
tip?
cliff. Oh yeah.
The truck full
No.
of-
The cliff. No, but it was
flinched
looking
you.
like it, and it was taking me off the road because
Yeah, that's a good one.
was
Not
going to-
tough guy.
yeah, he was bigger than me. I was bigger than him, the driver, but he was bigger than me on the vehicle. I would have gone splat. So I went over it, and it was a $600 Chinese-made motorcycle called a Sin K. And I went over the handlebars, and I was tougher than the motorcycle. The motorcycle was in pieces. And so we're going to be on some better, well-made stuff. Slightly better. No, a lot better. But you started riding when?
So I bought a motorcycle in college as a very irresponsible decision, but here we are. Had it. Probably one of the only reasons I finished college, by the way, because I just couldn't stomach driving to campus and looking for parking. And so with a motorcycle, you can park right by class.
Yeah.
And go in. Otherwise,
Okay.
I won't go to class. I know that about me. I hate inconvenience.
Yeah.
And so I hate my time wasted. So I have to do things to eliminate those things so that I'll do stuff. I have to trick me. So I learned to ride a bike and rode it for 4 or 5 years, had one stolen, got another one. Had it as my own only transportation for a handful of years. Had a sport bike and then didn't ride for 12 years and then got a chance to go on that trip last year, and it was incredible. And I hit it off with Sean, and we pitched this idea of a show based on, I'm not a motorcycle guy. I don't really care about the details of the bike. I want the experience. And I love, the landscape of America is incredible. Americans are tricky, but the landscape of America is in a beautiful place. And I've road tripped a ton over the last 2 decades of my life, and I've seen a lot of it. I think I'm like 3 states left.
Wow.
And I've never experienced the way I did on a bike. And so the purpose of this trip was to bring other people who aren't motorcycle people and have them experience this much different presentness and vibe that came from this incredible tool, which is this bike. And so we're also helping Indian launch their new bike called the Pursuit. So it's a bagger. It's got a big back seat, a trunk, carries all your stuff.
Cool.
Awesome. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
I wanted to make fun of it. And then as soon as I was riding, I'm like, yeah, I'm totally into this.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that it's comfortable and has a heated seat. And I love that it's, I'm not trying to suffer through this road trip, man. I've done that before.
Yeah.
I'm happy being 40 and being
I
comfortable.
mean, we're going to be on the bikes for what, 7 days?
Yeah, 7
Something like
days,
that?
dude.
Wow.
And so, yeah.
What a way to get introduced to American motorcycle
Dude, so
riding for me.
We'll get like the first 2 days of the trip, get comfortable on the bikes and kind of back roads through Southern South and into Florida. And then we end up in Daytona for Bike Week,
Wow.
which will be its own circus of a show.
Right.
And so we've got access to like the pits at Bike Week, and we're going to get to go watch. Yeah.
Is that the
That
motorcycle?
should be the Pursuit. I'm trying to find it.
I don't know if there's any pictures of the Pursuit yet.
Okay, well,
it's
you're right.
unreleased.
This is the
But that's very similar
Challenger.
to what we'd be on.
Challenger.
Yeah.
Okay.
So imagine that with like an actual back seat.
Okay.
If we had a passenger on it.
Okay.
I don't know if yours will or not.
Yeah.
And so, man, it was, we'll do that. We'll hit Daytona Bike Week, and then we'll get to go watch the guys that race baggers.
Wow.
And like after we're pretty comfortable with like, oh, I get riding a motorcycle, and then go see those dudes who are fluent, who speak motorcycle, right? Like I love that concept of, people that are really good at stuff. It's fluency. And like, they don't have to think about it. You know how it goes. You've got that mastery of a thing. And so watch those guys rip and really see how that bike could perform if you know what you're doing. I love.
Yeah.
And then we'll head from there into the Everglades. And so I grew up in Louisiana, like hunting alligators and doing a bunch of odd
That's
stuff.
awesome.
And so I want to take a bunch of people to go do the swamp tour.
Okay.
And so we found a company that wants to bring us out and like
Wow.
airboats and all that type of stuff.
This is going to be
And,
epic.
so fun. And
Yeah.
then we'll hit Miami where
We'll go down Alligator Alley.
Steffi lives in Miami. And so we kind of get a view of her Miami. We'll see what we get to fit in, but she's awesome and their world's really, really cool. And I love how different Miami is from Charleston. And both of those are America. How? And then to the Keys, which is odd and strange enough as it is very gay, very open, very that whole thing. And I love that too. I love weirdness.
I'll be bringing my I don't have any rainbow little manties, but I'll get some.
Okay.
I'll get
Yeah,
some.
I got you some
sparkly
for Valentine's Day. They're like rainbow
Do I?
stars. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, she just got them for me.
Yeah, be
She went
perfect.
to a gay bar, and she got me some. And she got me some.
It's beautiful.
So I do
love
have
it.
some rainbow stars, but I'll be wearing that. And I've never been to the Florida Keys though, and
Same.
I'm excited to see that.
We get that big long stretch of bridge
Yeah.
through the Keys. Like, man, it's just going to be, those days won't blend.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, I'm so excited to be able to do this with you.
Dude,
Thank you for the opportunity.
I'm honored
Thank you
and
for
thank you
including me.
so much and appreciate
Yeah.
you jumping through the hoops to
This
to
is going
part
to
of
be
it.
a great reset for me, just because coming out of treatment, my life is great. I love my life. Honestly, I feel like I'm in the best place I've ever been. Some reason the last week or two, there's been stuff with my family and other things going on that I feel this little dip. And I'm getting ready to go back to Uganda, and we'll be seeing the Pygmy people,
Here we
where we're
go.
building a health center. And so having an opportunity like this, a new life experience, to hopefully, for me, I get to parlay that into creating a new life experience for my Pygmy family and getting them a health center where they'll never be denied hospital treatment ever again. We're going to be treating waterborne disease, malaria. There's going to be a maternity ward, all this stuff. That's going to be pretty epic that we're being able to create there. That's one of the things I love to create, is creating water wells and creating housing and creating education, a new school that is not a 2-hour walk from where they are now to have an opportunity at education. Guess how many kids? Over 500 kids. Guess how many kids go to school because it's over 200 or over a 2-hour walk? 0.
You're right.
0 of them are going to school. So now we're going to be able to create a school right there where it's in their backyard or front yard. They're going to go get school for the first time, education. It's going to celebrate their culture instead of negate it or diminish it. It's going
I'm
to
also not against a future trip with you.
okay.
Just
Well,
FYI.
we're talking about that with Amy too. I want her to consider this one, which will be around April 4th. But this one's going to be really in and out.
I won't
It's more
make
of a
it this
scout
year.
trip. You won't make it this year for sure. But we'll talk about it in the future. We've never really taken volunteers, but because we're all about empowering the locals.
Sure.
But we're trying to see what there would be. And if it's something like this motorcycle trip where we're able to document it and bring it back and share what the work is. And if it was really able to highlight the locals and the work that they're doing and how they're taking ownership of it and how we're just empowering them to help themselves, then that's something I can get down with. And it's a way to educate people here of how we equip them with the tools, educate them with the knowledge, and then they get to be the change in their own community.
And man, as someone who's
But you are pretty strong, so you could drill some wells.
as someone who's been very aware of
Yeah.
your story now for a number of years,
Thanks.
incredible.
Thank you.
That's so incredible. And for me, being able to help build another megaphone to get this message out, whether through the Indian thing or through my podcast or through my universe, or even you and I talking about apparel, right? Like I can help with that. And so whatever is the way
Yeah.
I can help
Well, thank you.
is what I want to do.
Well, maybe this is prematurely sharing it, but you and I are diving into talking about how we could do an apparel line or lifestyle line for Overcome. And it'd be fun. There's not a guy I would rather start it with than you. And and being
You
able to
know
take
it'll
that
get
way-
done with
it would
that.
get done. It would get done, and it would be done really well.
Yeah.
And the care package we got of Hate Brand Goods, the bag was incredible. I
Thanks,
love that
man.
bag. I took that to Houston. I've taken on another trip, and opening it was such a fun experience. It's going to be in some German TV show. I was with Aaron Alexander, and I wore it to jump in the ice bath, or at least into Barton Springs right before a freeze. So it was really cold. Amy's rocking the beanie. Where can people find you? Like, what would
Easiest
you?
ways, Instagram.
Okay.
I hate Matt Vincent. I answer 100% of DMs that I get.
Wow.
I respond the best I can.
Yeah,
I don't respond to the ones who want to sell me followers.
yeah.
I just delete those or say thanks or
Yeah.
not trying. Their TikTok's the same thing. Thehate.com is the website. You can also check out if you're interested in my mentorship group, which is the 1612. That's
Yeah.
at the1612.com. And we're going to open up enrollment again on February 21st and should close March 6th or so, whatever that 2-week window is around that. And that
Awesome.
group's about, man, I want people to find that passion to make every day count, dude.
Yes.
Like that's it. Like whatever
Don't count
it
the
is,
days, make the days count.
that's
Muhammad
it.
Ali.
And people need resources around them that quit trying to tell you can't do shit.
Yeah.
I believe you can. Let's problem solve together. Let's find other smart people who've dealt with other things and create a community of people who want to grow.
Yeah.
That don't operate out of scarcity. And you can
It's
also email
powerful.
me, matt@mattvincent.net.
Yeah. Wow. And then also, what are your books?
The 3 books
The
I've
3
currently
books.
written are all Highland Games strength training based. So
Okay.
there's throwing lab, training lab, which are throwing specific, how to build the lifting for your season, and then how to do all the actual throws. And then strength lab, I wrote as a general strength program for people who would like to train the way I do, who
Okay.
aren't competing in a thing. And then I've got an online training program called Daily Destroyer, which is on Train Heroics Marketplace. And yeah, there's a bunch there.
You
new
know-
book in the works.
Yeah. Oh, new book in the works.
Yeah, talking
That's
about
awesome.
the years of losing that identity and kind of all the things that have
Wow.
got those perspectives
Yeah.
sorted.
Wow. Well, we've been doing a giveaway at the end of every episode, or at least we just started it. And
What do I get?
well, for the listeners that leave a review, because we're trying to grow the show, we're giving like a $25 gift card for On It, 2 of those, a $25 gift card for Amazon, something like that. But maybe we could do something with
I would love to.
Hate Goods,
Yeah, dude.
Hate Bearing Goods. Would that be the easiest thing, or what do you
love
think?
to. I'll do a $100 gift card.
Wow.
Really? Are you kidding?
Yeah. Is it for every review or
No,
is it...
no. We pick one.
Okay, sick.
Okay.
Oh no, I'm in the hole. We've just now closed the doors.
Well, after this episode, we could select someone that listened to us and gives us direct feedback on this episode, what they loved about what you had to share. And someone's going to get a Hate Brand Goods gift card.
Yeah.
Wow.
$100.
$100?
I'd love to.
Wow. Thank you so much for helping the show grow and for supporting our listeners too, man. I love you.
Same, bro.
I really do.
You know, for a
We're about
short-term
to-
relationship here,
Man,
I get lucky enough to meet people and it just, it's fun.
yeah. Well, love you, man, and very grateful you were on the show. We did get to introduce him to the world's best ice cream.
Yeah, it was good.
Your favorite,
Jenny's ice cream.
Pretty
Austin's second best is Amy's. We almost went there because
I'm glad you went to Jenny's. You love Jenny's.
I love Jenny's. We do. Well, man, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you for gracing me with your presence, your story, Amy as well, and our listeners. That was powerful, man. I love being around you.
So inspiring.
It was.
I'm
Thanks.
feeling fired up.
I'm fired up too. Let's go do some
Yes.
shit. Thanks. Wow. What an episode. Matt Vincent, what did you think of him?
I thought he was completely inspiring and I need to get it together.
Yeah.
I need to get it. And I'm like a habit junkie and like into all this. So
Yeah,
he was speaking my language.
He'll light a fire under anybody, even the most transformative person or expert that I know in you. So that's great. He lit a fire in me. And wow, thank you, Matt, for being here. Again, you can follow him at I Hate Matt Vincent, IHVII on Instagram. You'll get a lot out of it. He's a fun human being. You'll be inspired.
It says on his Instagram, King of Good Times.
King of good times.
And I believe it. I really, really liked him.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
awesome.
Mhm.
Isn't he a great guy that I'm going to travel
Yeah.
with on the motorcycles for the first time?
I know. You guys are going to have such a good time.
We're going to have such a blast. And he's one of the On It Pro athletes, which I really love about him. And we're both so grateful that they support us. So if you want to support our sponsor of the show, who support me and Amy, who support Matt Vincent, you can go get yourself some Alpha Brain or get yourself some great On It products like Total Human. You can use the onit.com/overcome, or at least the code overcome in the checkout cart. And that supports this show. So thank you so much. Also, another way to support the show is by Apple reviews.
Big time.
Big time, right?
Yep. Yeah. And we want to read them.
Yeah,
Like
we
we
want
want
to
to
read 'em.
know what you think. So please leave those. And I know you would love to know.
I'd love to know how we can make this show even better. We're so
Yeah.
grateful. We want this to serve you. We want this to add value to your life. I know the conversation with Matt just added value to my life, your life.
Oh my gosh. So much.
And we want it to add value to you. Also, we'd take guest suggestions. We'd love that. You can message those to us at Instagram at The Big Pygmy for Justin Wren, or at our Overcome podcast,
At
which is
gmail.com.
at gmail.com. And on Instagram, it's Overcome with Justin Wren.
Yes, it is on Instagram. Or leave it in the reviews too.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
tell us what you want to see in the reviews. That
Yeah.
would be awesome. Because
We
we're
would
really,
absolutely
really
love
working
it.
on building those up.
For sure.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. You can like, follow, subscribe, review at Apple, at Spotify, even on YouTube. So thank you so much for your support. We hope this was a great episode for you. I know it was for me.
It was for me.
Yeah.
Big
Thank
time.
you. Thank you, guys.
Hey, don't forget to send your Overcome stories to overcomepodcast@gmail.com. And also rate, review, subscribe, and follow Overcome with Justin Wren.